Everybody, it's Dr. Williamson again. I've got my friend Chris here for part two of our interview. Chris, why don't you kind of reintroduce yourself briefly, and then kind of let's get back to your story and what you want to tell our audience here.
Yeah, Chris Sanchez, Air Force veteran, did almost 10 years as a vehicle mechanic in the Air Force, toured in Afghanistan, toured in Iraq, and toured in Kyrgyzstan. So,
Awesome. And obviously, we talked about PTSD previously in our first part of our interview. That's some tough stuff to share. And, I heard it in your voice. I heard kind of like that was the trigger to like, man, I need to start investing in, getting some help and starting to look at the benefits package a little differently. And I see that in a lot of clients and even non-clients, just people I know. It's like waiting until the cup boils over. And, I think
yeah,
that's why I try to encourage people. Obviously, I'm biased because of what we do. I want people to get involved and join the company and get their benefits. But it's so much better with the VA system when you have time and you think ahead. And I think a lot of people get a little rushed and just kind of throw it haphazardly at the VA system. And that's a recipe for failure. And I think it's by design of the system, and it just is reality of what it is. So, what really got you to make those claims again? Like, tell me a little bit tell everybody about kind of the backstory of when was your moment where you said, all right, I need some different kind of help and I need to take this a little more seriously.
well, part of it was not necessarily constant nagging, but getting brought up by my mom. Because, like I told you before, my dad's a retired Navy chief, so he's going through his VA stuff, and my mom was always getting on me about making sure I take care of myself. And then uh, a big key piece of the puzzle that really pushed me to finally go through with it was my wife.
And there's cliche stuff, but they're cliche for a reason. Like, your mother
Yeah,
knows best. It takes a village, like those kind of cheap one-liners, quick phrases, but they're true. It's like when the people who love you the most and care about you the most are saying something to us over and over again, like most of us are stubborn. Most of us, are gritted up, bear it, suck it up, just keep grinding. Like, I don't want to talk to people about it, especially mental health stuff. It's not pleasant.
yeah.
It's not fun. It's a marathon process of just like committing to the work, and it's like a self-discipline aspect to it. So, when you started doing that, what was different, and how did we help you do that, and what were kind of your advice to other people in those situations, and how did it work out for you?
When I started doing it again, I actually sat down and started researching what other veterans have done. Started reaching out to uh, brothers and sisters that I've served with, to what they did to go to through their process. And then um, a big help, like I said before, was my cousin, who uh, achieved his 100% disability back in I believe it was 2021, maybe 2019, something like that time frame. And of course, he started getting on to me. He said, "Hey man, you need to get on your stuff." He's like, "You've been to Afghanistan. You don't go to Afghanistan and not bring home something. You don't go to Iraq and not bring home something." Um,
Absolutely. And, it's you know, kind of the hidden wounds, those kind of things. It's true. I mean, it's the coping skills, right? It's not that, oh, just because you deployed or went to combat or went to Afghanistan, Iraq, et cetera, even, prior eras. It's that it does change you. And, the how you handle relationships, interactions with people, even your own, like, your self-talk, right? Like it's our temper changes, our temperament changes too, where it's like little things that didn't bother you before, like God forbid you have kids, family, friends, a job. And then all the outside world sees is kind of that reactive, maybe, frustrated, even a smiling person, but something's different. And, I say this not because everybody's story is the same, because it's not, for sure. But there's such common patterns in our community and what we see and what we do. And it's not to admit you're broken. It's just to say, hey, this is what's going on. And I do need help, and you do need a village, and you do need to solve any problem, right? I was an orthopedic surgeon. You don't just take a patient and take them to the OR, right? You work it up. You take x-rays, you talk to them, a physical exam, right? And you have to know what the problem is or the problems are to a degree to have to get to fixing them, right? Like if you have a busted pipe, you don't just press a button and it's fixed. You have to find out where the leak is, right? It may not be a catastrophic leak to where, you flood the house, but if there's pipes leaking, you got to figure out where the pipes are leaking at, and you got to create a plan to then attack to solve the problem. So that's how I approach every disability claim, mental health as well, and you're just getting help that you need.
Oh, most definitely. I agree.
Absolutely. So, tell me a little bit more about, what your thoughts are, of the process, what you want to say to people out there, as far as, hope, endurance, sticking through, whatever you want to say. Like, this is your time, man, to really share.
Yeah, I will say, especially for the veterans out there that, when you got out, you're really honest. You didn't really think anything was wrong with you, type of person that didn't really document stuff while you're in because we were all trained to just grin and bear it. You drink some water, take some 800 milligram Motrin, you're good to go.
Classic vitamin M, it's kind of a shame because, again, like as an orthopedic surgeon, like, we did that stuff too, like as far as, NSAIDs and, back in the day, whether it was post-operative, narcotics, and like, we just kind of threw meds at the problem, but that's not how you fix most things, right? But it's a double-edged sword. I'll be the first to say that, being resilient and being tough and, having that endurance and not going to sick call, not always being in the doctor's office, like there's a benefit to it. And the military knows that. We know that. Who wants to go spend time in sick call or the doctor's office when you could be doing your job and getting better and helping your team out, right? And so, but there's a cost to that. And I see that's 95% of the people I talk to is that, it's the same kind of story. They almost apologize, like, hey, doc, I'm sorry, I don't have many records. I didn't really do anything in mature. I'm like, listen, man, like, I get it. I didn't go to the doctor a lot for myself, and I was the doctor, right? Like, I ain't got time for that. And like, and I don't trust those people. And especially when we're talking about mental health, do you really trust to really spill the beans with some random revolving door medical system, medical provider, even if they're good people? It's like, is that going in the chart? Like, am I going to hear about this kind of stuff? And it's a stigma. And, it's not that, I'm saying, oh, just keep it to yourself and lie about it to your doctors. Obviously not, but it happens. So, I'm in the stage of my life where I just call it like it is. We all know is that you're not going to tell them the truth most of the time if they're really asking while you're in service, because there's negative repercussions to that. And we don't trust the system to take care of us because it typically doesn't.
Yeah. But, so I didn't document a lot. And like I said, for us that got a low rating when we got out, it's going to be a difficult battle. You gotta, lace up your boots, dig your heels in, and hold your ground, because it's very easy to fall off the path. It's very easy to stray from the path when it gets difficult. You feel like everything's against you. But, like deployments, you got to push through it. You got to do your job in order to get the result you want. So I did my time, went to the appointments, got the evidence, got the statements, got advice, from people that have been through it. I know probably a handful of people that I was talking with that are 100%, and took their advice, applied it how I could to my situation, and the end result is worth the battle.
Amen. Amen. And, I see it like this is, to borrow a Navy term we used to always use, you load the boat, right? When there's tough stuff, you got to load the boat. And I'm the first person to encourage everybody to talk to your friends that have done it. Get on the internet, Reddit, fine tooth comb, right? Like not everybody's experience is going to transfer to your exact situation. And there's expectation management, right? That's why I love what we do at Wooby, because it's not promising and selling you a guarantee and a timeline, because to do that is impossible. You'd have to be the VA, and there's so much variability that I think a lot of people get very demoralized. They go through all those steps and then deny, and they get that famous ratings decision letter denial. And it's, It's just frustrating because I get it. And then it's like, well, I went through all that, thought I had a plan, and they denied me anyway, and they quit. And what you said was important, I believe, and I say this to a lot of people as well. It's like, don't quit, don't give up. Right. And, I get nothing further from it, financially or the company, because once you're on board with us. So it's like, you're already here. So it's almost like the way we structure our company is beautiful, because now you have kind of an incentive to keep going because you paid money, right? So it's like almost a little bit of reverse psychology in a way. And I think it's played out nicely. We didn't intend that with how we started, right? It's like, well, we don't want to take back pay. We don't want to do this, kind of, extorting big percentages for the rest of your life. Like, that's not what we do. Maybe the law firms do that, but we don't. The unintended great consequence of it is that people, when they get, denied or an increased rating, but they're not 100%, our culture is one of, well, what are we going to do next? Here's my stuff. This got denied. Hey, I have these issues that aren't rated right. There's an urgency, not from a time sense, but of, all right, we made, we got a first down here, to use a football reference. Now we got to drive down the field. How are we going to piece it together and not just settle for a field goal? How are we going to score a touchdown? How are we going to drive it in? What makes the most sense? And let's craft a plan and a play to do it.
Yeah. And probably one of the biggest things that was difficult for me to realize and accept is the timeline between veterans when they get their 100% is never going to be the same.
Correct.
The difficult thing for me was, like I mentioned, my sister yesterday, 80 in the Navy, never boots on ground, never saw combat, yet she did 6 years in the Navy, got 100%. I mean, a lot of her stuff was mental health stuff. Give a little backstory. She was sexually harassed by her section chief during a deployment. And the trauma that she received from that, and it affected my dad, because he's a Navy chief, retired chief as well. And they went to their hearing. There was no court martial. They went to their hearing, and after the hearing, she saw her chief in the hangar laughing with other chiefs, laughing it off, like he got off scot-free. He got a slap on the wrist. But she is left with all the emotional, physical, mental trauma that she has to live with. My sister, she's definitely different. She's not the sweet little girl that I remember anymore because of this. But not to take away from her time in service and what she did, she got her 100%. She documented everything, and I'm in my head thinking, well, I saw combat. I almost got blown up in Afghanistan. How come I'm only at 10%? So I held a little bit of resentment. And to me, that's probably one of the number one pillars of your dedication to get the benefits you deserve, is looking at another veteran's situation and saying, how come theirs was easy and mine's difficult?
It's tough. And that's one of the things that I say to people. I said this back in service too. It's like the squeaky wheels get the grease phenomenon. Sometimes it's something that, maybe this person does have some issues, didn't see combat, something terrible happened to them. Sometimes it's just the run of the mill sailor or Marine. And I would see over and over again, well, the system kind of rewards them because they're the squeaky wheel. I always took care of my squeaky wheels for sure. But then I would see the guys who didn't squeak, and they had worse problems. They had worse experiences. They had this built up, psychological, medical, and physical almost syndrome. Like, it's almost like a military misery chronic syndrome, right? Where all these big issues kind of coalesce and combine into this end product of this human being holistically. Headache conditions. Again, I dub it, I'm not going to write a paper on it or anything necessarily, but it's like misery defined, chronic stress and misery, whether it's truly PTSD, misery, stress, but it's true. You get the anxiety picture. Maybe you do have combat PTSD type symptoms. You have some depression, which leads to pain, and maybe you have some physical wear and tear too. So pain is subjective. It gets amplified when you have mental health conditions. That's one of the things that we do, is we make the arguments all the time, is that these things aren't isolated issues, right? It's not just a diagnosis here, diagnosis there, and we're just going to say, oh, look, these are all caused by service. They cross over and they amplify and they exacerbate the problems, right? So this happens all the time. I used to see it all the time in service and now after services, that headache conditions, GI conditions, endocrine conditions, you just, when one thing falls apart, the rest degrade, right? Like if you had an engine and you had, your suspension goes, or, something goes wrong, it's not an isolated thing. The whole system fails, right? Your ball bearings and, your pistons, like the whole system can fail because of one thing, fail faster, right? And that's what I saw over and over. So we take a look, and I specifically take a look at the holistic approach because of my experience, because of what I see. And the VA does a decent job of, receiving those arguments. They don't make it easy to adjudicate it, but there's so much, like, the smarter people, the people who are the academics that like to write papers. I can't stand writing papers for journals to put my name on. I don't care. Right? It's not my style. I just want to fix problems. And I use their papers, though. I use their hard work and their evidence and their peer-reviewed journals and the VA traditions and case law and precedents. And telling a story about someone to a third party is hard. It's actually not easy. And I think one of the reasons we're successful is because we take that approach. It's not just veteran has this problem, it is service connected, period. Like, that's easy. It would take 2 minutes, but can I tell the story to make you a person on paper, what you did, what you experienced, how these things started, how they're combined and how they exacerbate each other. It's complicated. I mean, it's common as far as the pattern. I see patterns, right, in people because I just know who I am. And then, trying to sell it to the VA with truth and evidence, it's a process. So it's very doable. And that's what I try to tell people is that, there's an art to it and it's a partnership. Part of me being able to paint the picture to the VA is you giving me the right, color, oils, and paint to do it, right? I can't do it with just a pencil, right? Number 2 pencil, lead. I can do a painting, but it's not as good and it's not going to be received as well. It's not going to be as valuable to the VA, as a full canvas oil painting. So that's what we try to do. And it takes a partnership. I can't come up with stuff out of my head because that's not really ethical and that's not what I do. So we take people and then we use our partners and their medical systems to build the tools so that we as a group, really it's, our team and the veteran client to paint the painting, right? And then, so as hard as is then you paint this beautiful painting. It's so pure, it's real, it's backed up, it's got the highest quality ingredients in it, evidence. And then the VA says, no, we don't like it, right? And so then I see people kind of get demoralized. Oh, how did they not buy the painting? And I tell them, listen, we just didn't take it to the right vendor, right?
Yep.
Maybe we, add a little bit of red and blue here to make it a little brighter, a little more contrast. Maybe we frame it a little differently, put a little frame on it, and we'll send it back. And someone's going to see it for what it is and not just gloss over it. And, that's really, to steal that metaphor, that's what we do is, we are confident in the art we produce with the client because we believe in it. If you believe and you put your heart and your soul into the painting, into the product, into that claim, it tends to go better. And eventually they will accept it because it's good and it's true.
And that was that whole scenario you just laid out was pretty much what happened when I went from 80 to 100. Because with the first initial claim, I had so many conditions. I was granted disability for my wrist, ED, and my PTSD. Had all the evidence and stuff like that, but with what I presented, my migraines and sleep apnea were not service connected. I didn't have any record in my medical record and stuff like that. So I sat down with my doctor and I asked her. My primary care, and I said, can migraines and sleep apnea be either so created, so to speak, or exacerbated by the effects of PTSD? And she said, most definitely. I said, okay, let's get to work. Let's would you say that the conditions I have, because the VA had come back and said that, oh, these conditions began after service. Said, okay, we can work with that. And to be honest with you, I didn't really start getting uh, major issues with sleep apnea until when I started having those nightmares. Started losing sleep, lack of oxygen with sleep apnea, boom, there's migraines. So everything tied in, and she wrote her medical nexus, basically saying that, yeah, she believes that these conditions are a direct link cause by my PTSD, because, the PTSD I have, I was diagnosed with chronic PTSD, and brain doesn't shut off, can't go to sleep, can't stay asleep,
Yeah,
so constantly tired.
the airway gets tired, and that's what I was kind of referencing with the studies. It's common sense to medical people that are open-minded and realistic, right? They say, well, that makes sense, or somebody that's experienced it and is more of an expert in that matter, right? So I loved your situation. I encourage everybody to do this. That's why it's like, we don't have a monopoly, nor do we want a monopoly on nexus letters, right? Like the idea of a nexus letter to me is kind of cheap. But when you get somebody that's your actual provider that you've known for a while, that you have trust in, they're trying to help you, and they're, either just through documentation and or a nexus letter, I love it, because then as the framer, right, I say, wow, not only do we have evidence objectively on paper, we also have another provider independent of us completely that says the same thing that we also agree with. It's ammunition, right? Because then I use that. I say, hey, by the way, VA, here's my opinion, but here's another provider that said the same thing, right? I'm not just copy pasting what she said. I independently think the same thing because of X, Y, and Z papers. So I'll go more of an academic framing to the VA, pick studies, pick case law, pick 38 CFR stuff, be a little more technical to kind of overwhelm them with like, hey, I know what I'm talking about. But then I get to bring in evidence and another provider saying like, I think it's related to it too. And that's how we make the strongest cases possible. So for those people who get denied for things that are commonly approved, I always tell you it's not necessarily done. It's just we have to keep building the base. It's not that they're doubting you have sleep apnea, for example, or that you have migraines. It's, can we get enough evidence to make it, greater than 50% probability, because that's what they use, right? The preponderance standard. Can we reasonably do that and make it overwhelming to it's way beyond a preponderance of an argument, right? One thing I see with sleep apnea too is anybody that's got a BMI over 30 is obese, in quotation marks, right? I don't really believe that in today's world, but that's how it is, right? Well, mental health. And so they'll say, oh, well, see this a lot. Sleep apnea is caused by obesity, which has nothing to do with service, goodbye, period, denied. Well, hold on a second, right? In addition to the PTSD axis, how it causes, trouble sleeping can cause airway collapse because of fatigue, et cetera, poor sleep. Well, also think about it. If you're having any mental health problem, I don't care if it's anxiety, depression, PTSD, in America, in the world, but really in America, where, the land of milk and honey, you get a little too bit much milk and honey then when you're feeling bad, right? You stop working out, you just sit, the signs of depression, you gain weight, like, well, there you go. There's that intermediate link. Now, it's not for everybody, right? But the truth is, like, that's another avenue we can argue because it's so rational. And that's what I do when I say, I want to see, when I talk to clients, I want to see your ratings decision letter. Why did they deny it? I want this fine print because I'll use their words against them because they're FOS. They'll say, oh, well, he's obese, therefore he's not service connected. And that's almost like a gift. Say, okay, so now all I have to do is argue that his mental health has caused weight gain and has led to sleep apnea indirectly, but they'll still service connect it by proxy, right? That exacerbation, aggravation philosophy. And, it's so doable. And so when I tell people not to quit, it's not just to be optimistic. Don't quit, guys. No, it's don't quit because we have the goods and we know how to get there if we work at it and we keep fighting. It's like a boxing match, to use use a simile, not a metaphor, but it's a boxing match. It's like a boxing match. You don't know what round you're going to win or lose, right? The great thing about what we do is that we know you're the prize fighter. We know we have the goods. You got a tough chin. You're not going to go down. It may go 12 rounds. It may suck. You may be out for 2 weeks, exhausted after the fight, or it could go really quickly. We don't know. It's going to be a first round TKO. We don't know. But the point is that we know we got the fighter in the corner and we know we're going to win eventually. And That mentality is important. Again, not just as a rah, don't quit. Also that, but trust me, listen to Chris, listen to these people. That's why we do these videos too, is listen to people, listen to their stories, right? Like, we're not scripting this stuff. This is just how it is. And we see the pattern of persistence, endurance, and hope and faith. Like, if you stick with it, it will get done.
Yeah. And a big thing that I believe, to kind of piggyback on all that, the big thing I believe that a lot of veterans uh, lose their dedication on is, they don't know about like the secondaries. They don't know about being able to link it with something you already have, or they don't know these things. Like for me, that was a big um, I guess a big downer for me when I got my 80% rating, when it said, my sleep apnea was um, denied, and continued for denial, and same with the migraines. And then I started thinking, well, what about secondaries? Because my cousin had mentioned secondaries. He's like, hey, if you don't get it directly service connected, you can always get it. You can always try to go back at it as a secondary, linking it to a service connected disability you already have. And
Correct.
I think that's a key piece of information that a lot of veterans don't know.
I agree, and there's nuance to it as well, because I see some people, and again, I like it when people educate themselves or try to have a base knowledge and are open minded, right? Because I have some people that will want to like generate a chat GPT type like claims that, hey, we signed this Nexus letter. I'm like, absolutely not. Like, you have to trust me. Like, I'm going to craft my own argument for you. Like, love you, mean it, but hear me out. So I have some people trying to do wild secondaries, allergic rhinitis causing sleep apnea. I'm like, listen, man, like, that's not going to fly. I mean, I think that's a tiny percentage. It doesn't really even make sense to me. There's not a lot of good studies. Like, that's a stretch, right? You can't go through the motions and lie to yourself. You may not know, right? You won't know, but I do, because I've seen enough and I study it actively, and I'm building like actual metrics and data to support my instinct and my gut and my gestalt and my experience. And so I have to tell people sometimes, I'm like, listen, we need to focus on something else right now, because there's a sequence to it too. If you're not already service connected for this issue, very rarely, and I think this is wrong on the VA, but very rarely will they automatically in tandem secondary connect something. So let's say you made the sleep apnea migraines behavioral health claim, right? You could have even said, oh, in all the arguments said these are secondary to the mental health. You claim it all at once, they'll approve the mental health and deny the other two. Because I'm a big believer, unfortunately, that they don't really read it, because they're not incentivized to approve things, right? So that's why we stage things. It's not to prolong and delay. Again, we get no financial incentive to do that. Our only incentive is to get you to 100% and be ecstatic with what we do and the end result, and your life is better. So sometimes I'm like, listen, the best thing to do is mental health claim first, or an increase in mental health first, or in tandem, and then in the meantime, build up your arguments and your arsenal and your supplies to build those sleep apnea migraine secondaries. When you talk to me and us, we have a plan down the road, not just a one and done, see you later, bye, a la carte, thank you for your money. If you want to do something else, put more coins in the machine. We don't believe in that. We don't do it. We have the long game. We're going to win the game at the end, right? Doesn't matter how it really starts and goes. We know that if we have more endurance, when the clock runs out, we will be ahead, and you'll get the 100% PNT for most people. Some people don't have the issues, right? If you do, we can manage it. And over time, and that's the other thing, Rome wasn't built in a day, and you don't have to have all this stuff right away. Our promise to everybody is that we will shoot you straight. We'll tell you the truth. We'll give you, our expectation, what we think, again, with honesty. We don't know what we think based on X, Y, and Z. If you don't have that, we don't need to just, do nothing. We can build claims over time. And I think that's just that wisdom side of it, is that we're all in a rush. Once you start these things, like, man, let's get this done. This sucks. Like, I'm so ready for my 100%. And then sometimes that will mess up those first steps, because you're focused too far ahead. What we do at Wooby is we craft you an individual step-by-step plan with intention, and we explain to you why. So, we talk about it. What are we going to do next? The strategy behind it, because of this. And I want people to understand it, because I'm a believer, if you buy in and you truly understand, whether you're in business, the military, or a sports team, if every person involved in that partnership, that team, that company understands their job and why it is important, and where the mission is, what are we trying to accomplish as a group, then everybody does better. They take their job more seriously. So when I say, hey, I need you to do a personal statement, I'm not writing it for you. Here's why it's important. Here's why this forum is important. Hey, I need you to go get a buddy statement. Here's why it's important. Hey, I need you to go get some more clinical evidence. Here's why. Either A, you don't have any, or this isn't good enough, or it's too old. Hey, I need you to X, Y, and Z. And then if I say that to you and that you understand why, I'm a believer that you're going to do it more eagerly and you're going to do it better. And in the end, it's to help us help you.
Completely agree.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's that team dynamic stuff that we believe in, and we practice what we preach. It's not just, theoretical. Like, we run teams, right? We're all from the military. Like, that's what we do. Like, you have a part on the team. This is not a passive process for people who expect just to get a templated document and a signature and, hand holding all the way. We're not the right company for you. And that's fine. That's fine. Come back to us when you're stuck at 90. Come back to us when you're stuck at 70, at 10. Like, not to be mean to everybody, but like, when you're ready to take ownership and accountability of the steps that you can, we will tell you what your steps are, and we'll craft a plan together. It's not me just telling you what to do, but when you're ready to take it serious, let us know and we'll come jump on board and get her done. No hard feelings.
Yeah, no, not at all. And I think that's kind of a false premise with a lot of these other companies do, is they make it seem like they're going to do the legwork for you. They make it seem like they're going to do the legwork for you, and then when it's time for the veteran to put their boots on the ground, they're like, whoa, this is not what you said was going to happen.
I'm a believer in under promising and over performing. And also, again, anything good in life worth having takes effort. You can't just throw money at problems, at lawyers, at things like that, companies, I don't care. It doesn't solve the problem most of the time. Anything that's, you might get lucky, right? Because there's luck to the VA process, which I loathe. There should be no luck. It should be facts and objective truths, because that's how I think. Occam's razor, it ain't like that. So, there are outliers and people who get results with, their own claims or other companies. Like, good, I'm glad they did. That's awesome. But the reality, the way I see it is that you have to have a plan, you have to be realistic, and you have to take a role in it. Because again, I do agree, some of these other companies, it's a reverse of what we do. They want you to be very happy and like, whoo, this is luxury. They're going to take care of everything for me at the beginning. And so you're super happy, right? When you sign up, like, man, they got it. Schmuckerson's law attorney, group is taking care of me. They got it, right? Like, or some like online VA, like trendy clickbait stuff, which is good, like good. You feel good, right? But then when they get the bad results, or then, oh, well, we can't handle that. We don't know what to do. I'm sorry. Like, or put more money in. Like, then you start to realize, like, I kind of got. And I hate that. That's the last thing. We don't do that. So it's the exact opposite. We got people on board. They've been on for a month and are like, wait, you telling me I got to do this and hard? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Like with a smile, but like, trust me. So they're a little like, man, I thought I paid money. Like, you're going to like, wipe my butt and it's going to be 100%. It's like, nobody ever said that to you. And we're actually aggressively through videos like this and talking to people, our sales, we tell them this. This is not like oops, you got to work. We tell people. And like I said, if you don't want to do a little work and a little bit of coordination, communication, and documentation, we're probably not the right company for you. But if you want to do your part and win more reliably and quicker, we are the company for you. So, they come on board, but then there's this aha moment through our group sessions, through our videos, through calls, through one-on-ones, all the different things we have in resources, our school page, our platforms where there's 2,000 plus veterans, most of them clients, not all clients. And it's like, they get this aha moment and they get it. And then it gets done. And they're like, like, I'm in. Like, all right, doc, like, let's go. I'm no longer like, I trust you. That's what I want. I want you earn everybody's trust, not just because you saw a video, because I told you sweet things. I'm sharp mouth. I'll tell you
Yeah.
the way it is, the way I see it. But I
Yeah.
want to earn your trust so that then, you're happy, and, you want to have an interview with me on a Saturday, right? Because that it's legit, and it wasn't luck. It was effort, and it was intention. And it's like, as we build this together, as a community and as a company, we're going to reach thousands more people, and it just butterfly effects. And like I said, I think in our last interview, that's how you save the world one at a time in our community, is preventing the worst of the worst through giving people the benefits that they earned.
And I do specifically remember too, from our first conversation, you mentioning that it's going to be tough and you're going to have to do a lot of legwork to get this done. And the way I see it now is, you're right about that. You guys give the tools to the veteran, but it's really up to the veteran to take it and run with it or not run with it. And it's one of those things that um it teaches the accountability that is required to get the job done.
Couldn't agree more.
Swallowing your pride, just putting that aside and knowing that, hey, this is what I got to do. The first key step is realizing that I do have issues. And, like I said, putting the pride away and accepting the fact that you have issues. To me, that's a hard first step for a lot of veterans.
I agree. Denial and, avoidance. It's really not denial so much. I think it's more of an avoidance thing. It's an inconvenient truth that needs to, if you can bury it down, like, I don't want to get into that, and no thanks. Well, I see people like that sometimes who then, the easy thing is to talk about your knee, right? Like, I got this bad knee, and it's almost like it's not a cry for help. It's too like dramatic, but it's like they're focused on some things. And I'm an orthopedic surgeon, right? I would much rather talk about knees all day than migraines, for example. But then it opens up this conversation of, yeah, we can do that, and we'll bring in some musculoskeletal things, but here's my expectation of what that result will be in the timeline, because it takes longer when you do musculoskeletal because of the VA algorithm and the pathway. And I tell them that, and I'm like, listen, yes, I will, it's almost like informed consent. Like, I'm willing to do this for you, like write a nexus letter for all your musculoskeletal issues. But here's and this is the benefit of Wooby, like, instead of selling nexus letters and then, just whatever you want, like it's like a Burger King, like, oh, you want a Whopper? Here you go. And then everybody's happy, but the result's bad. You get, diarrhea after you eat your Whopper. Feel bad. But, what I tell them is that we can do that, but here's my expectation of where your end result will be with that. And it's not because it's not a good letter. It's not that you don't have good evidence. I just know the VA. And that opens the door for a conversation. And that's usually where I break down that door and kick it in. I feel like a coach a lot of times, because I am more than just, a MD, doctor, that kind of stuff, like letter writer, DBQ writer, reviewer, strategy. It's like I'm a coach because, again, sports are huge in my life, and most of us, whether you're in the military or not, it's, team sports, and that team mentality is critical to what the lessons you learn in life. And I remember some of the most hardcore, sons of bitches that were my coach, that were mean, but they loved you, but they were hard. They instilled discipline, and they told you straight. And if you went stray, they made you run. They made you throw up and bleed, basically break you. Think about my fraternity, like all things I went through, of like the people that loved me the most were hard on me and told me like it is, right? So we don't haze our clients, but at the same time, my background, what I love about my job is I get to be myself. I will tell you truthful, right? I'm like, you need to do this. You need to hear me. And if you do, I got your back and we'll make it happen. I still got your back either way, but if you want the path to get to 100% the most predictable, expeditious way, here's the plan. What do you think?
What everything comes down to, what everything came down to in my situation, is the veteran has to put in the work. I have to.
Agreed. I mean, I think about it like this, beyond just, we get when you're on a task, a veteran, like VA disability is like in your tunnel vision, right? VA disability, whole thing, right? But in life, being more broad, like if you want a good relationship with a spouse or a partner, a girlfriend, boyfriend, like you got to put in the work. You got to
Yeah.
communicate. You got to put the work in. Hey, if you don't want to be overweight and you want to be an athlete, you got to put the work in. You want to be a good dad, you got to put the work in. You want to be good at your job, you got to put the work in. So why is VA disability claims any different? It's not. Like that's that lesson is that if you want success, it's not guaranteed, but if you want to have a chance at success, you got to put the work in.
Yep. Yeah, that's I agree with that wholeheartedly. And it's like you said, it's never a guarantee. But
No, nothing is.
at least if you know, put in the work, know you tried your very best, and you get what you get, then you can at least say, hey, I did everything I could, and that's that.
There is one guarantee at least, other than death and taxes,
Yeah.
which maybe we'll get rid of income taxes one day. But my guarantee, I don't make many, like two, I guess. I'll get two guarantees that I will give people. And I mean, a man of my word, like that's something I got, right? If I'm a slick talker out of both sides of my mouth, like anybody, I can't stand it. So I tell the truth for what it's worth. Two guarantees from Wooby and myself. I will always fight like hell and tell you the truth. Convenient, inconvenient. I'll tell you the truth and fight like hell the way I see it, right? And number two, and this is a big one, we will stick with you. So no matter what denial, no matter how much time, no matter the attitudes, the things, the failures, the guarantee is that I and we will stick with you. That you can take it to the bank. We will take care of you over time and we will figure it out together. We will not quit.
And especially with what you told me, not yesterday, but the day before, when you first made, I guess you could say, an
Again,
estimate on
about
my,
how easy it would be. Below
yeah,
average.
well, no, yeah, like if I like what my chances were of getting 100%, and you telling me that you originally thought is basically slim to none.
Yeah, below average. Below average.
Yeah,
Yep, it's on
and
my paper, man.
yeah, below average, and here I am at 100.
Mm-hmm. And I usually set it to be like, and when I write those things on people, and again, I don't share it with everybody because like I think it's just a little too much, maybe salt in some wounds too early, right? Because when
Yeah,
I first talk to people, like I write it down for myself. So now here we are, and I'm like super excited because somebody who I didn't expect to get it done. And when I say below average, I mean in a reasonable time frame, within 2 years, year or 2 year, like I don't say forever, things change, whatever. That's not my expectation. Within a year or two, what are my expectations of Chris getting 100% PNT? It's like, we got a long way to go. Like not just the number, but like with what I see, right? It's complex. So after the talk, I'm like, okay, we have X, Y, Z, all the things. Do I think he's motivated enough to do it? And that wasn't why yours. We just had a lot of work to do with documenting too, and like building the base. But even if somebody that's like not in wants to only do musculoskeletal here and there, and they're at 20%, I'm like, well, the odds of them getting 100% is going to be low in the next year or two, unless they, get some different attitude and different evidence and start to buy into the strategy with what they have, or somebody just doesn't have the issues. And that's okay to be. If you want just what you have, that is fine. We're happy to give people what they earn and what they deserve. A lot of people can and should get 100% PNT. So it's not to just say, oh, if you don't have 100, we don't want you. No, we'll help you get what you want and what you deserve. And then if 2 years go by and you want to come back to us with something new, hey, we're here, man. No more coins in the machine. You're a member. I think that model is going to catch on. I wouldn't be surprised if over the next couple of years, as we grow, as feedback comes in, we get a lot of good reviews. Some people are a little frustrated sometimes because of what I already mentioned, but the copycats are going to come, and that's fine. I welcome it. Any of the law firms, the competition, the other VA disability companies that want to emulate us, good, do it because it works, right? So, or, help us grow, right? Leave
yeah,
that behind and come grow Wooby because we already got the infrastructure. We got a plan and a mission to grow and be even bigger, more impactful in our community than we are right now. That's what I love about the company too, is it's not just how can we make more money? No, it's how can we grow this and help veterans in other ways too that are related to benefits, related to VA disability. But how can we get them helped out with VR&E, with healthcare, with legal matters, with education, benefits? We want to be a central hub of the future of the veteran community as a big player, right? It's like if you were a USAA or somebody like that, they don't just do car insurance, right? They do banking and do this, that, and the other. We want to get our hands in that because we know we will treat the community the right way. And so if other companies are doing it, maybe not doing it as well, I'm not just picking on USAA, but like any company, we know we do it better. We have the ethos. Why don't we? And so we're still young. We're going to grow, but like, that's what I want. And that's what, our team wants and our leaders want, is to grow Wooby into a solid core daily word of mouth company that almost every veteran at least knows about. And we earn that trust, just like with the claims with individuals, we earn the community's trust over time by results, by how we treat people, by how we deal. And, it's almost like Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. But you got to believe it's a lot of risk. It's a lot of energy and toil to plow the field and make the base paths and, take the corn out. They think you're crazy. But that's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to get our niche to help more people and grow.
Yeah, that's amazing. Like, I was actually talking with my therapist yesterday, and we hadn't talked in a while. She's been dealing with like family stuff since the holidays, but I told her all the good news, everything that's going on, and I told her I feel like inspired now to pay it forward
Ooh, amen.
and start helping other veterans like the way that other veterans have helped me. So I've even talked to her about, because over here, because I live on the west end of Oahu. Right when I moved here back in May of 2024, before I even talked to you guys, they had built a brand new VA facility. That's amazing.
That's awesome.
They have everything. They have dental there, everything. It's huge. And I even talked about volunteering there.
Good. Do it. I tell people this all the time, usually in the interview setting, but even more offline when I just talk to people. It's pay it forward. Just like you said, I guess usually my charge to people is love your brothers and your sisters and give. Whatever the way you give, even if it's just your family, it doesn't have to be a veteran necessarily. It's great if it is, because I'm passionate about that, because I see it hurt in the community. But just be the best you and give, right? Give your time, your energy, your advice, your love, your money, whatever is your thing you can give, in a Christ-like manner. Like, that's how I believe, is you give without expecting anything. And if everybody does that, right, I think 100% P&T puts you in a position to do that better, not just giving money, but like there's this optimism, especially in the first year or two of it. Don't be stagnant with that energy. That's God calling you. That is your instincts, your gut, your ancestors. It's just, you feel it. Listen to it. Go do the thing. Take risks that are calculated but smart. Go help. It's never wrong just to serve, help people, make the world a better place by making yourself a better person.
Yeah, most definitely. So, yeah, sometime here soon, I'm actually going to go over there, even just to their customer service desk, and ask them, hey, what can I do to help volunteer?
I love it. And now, here's the other side of it. Not just volunteering is great. I think it's wonderful. You should do that to start, at least. When you're 100% P&T as well, you get a higher hiring rating. Like, you're more attractive to the VA to hire as an employee if you wanted to do that. Right. So
yeah, I have thought about that.
And if you want to use the VR&E program to retrain in some field that you don't even know yet, but maybe you go over there and like, man, like they need help here. I don't have I have no education on that. Like, I need credentials for whatever that job might be. The VA will pay you outside of the GI Bill. So you can save your GI Bill for family, for yourself later, whatever, but they'll retrain you to what you want to do afterwards, if it makes sense. And then, it's right there. And so that's That's that if you build it, they will come sort of philosophy. It's not just about the compensation, it's about the opportunity. And that's why I get chills. I get so excited and passionate about it because it's good. And if we help 200 people in a couple months get that energy, maybe 30% of them go act on it. Well, that's awesome. Even if just that, 80 people just made their little micro environment better, which makes it better somewhere else. And it's like, that's the reason, of life is make things better and, reach out and be there for people. And I just, not to be too philosophical, but like it makes it more fun than just writing Nexus letters, because it is more than just Nexus letters, more than VA claims. Like it's very palpably real. And I feel it in my spirit and our team does. And that's why we just get moto for these kind of things because we feel it and it almost runs itself. Like the universe and God is an amazing, amazing thing that is very real. And if you accept and buy into that philosophy and just trust your gut, trust your feeling, listen, and then follow, become more of a servant leader, the rest comes.
Yeah. And when I broke the news to my wife, she was over the moon, crying hysterically but happily on the phone as she's on her way to work. She's like, man, you had to tell me that on my way to work. I had to fix my makeup before I walked into the office. All that stuff.
That's not a bad problem to have.
Yeah. But I told her, I was like, yes, I did do this for me because I deserve this care, this benefit. But a big reason why I did it was for us. Because now she can go to school for free. Because she's been wanting to go to school. So I told her this is a benefit I didn't know that I had, but it's only a benefit that I got because of me reaching 100%. But now, not just my life is going to get better, but our lives are going to get better, especially her, because her going to school is going to help her chase her dream.
It's the butterfly effect, and I see the joy in your face, like to be able to provide and give that to her through what you earned. Like, I mean, it's so good. Congratulations, because like I mean it. Like that's the good stuff. Like the money, whatever. Like the joy that I see in you and hear in your voice right there is just, it's so good. Congratulations, y'all. That's really cool.
And I've always been her biggest cheerleader, right? Her passion is might make you laugh, but her passion is she wants to do nails. Like she is a certified ophthalmic assistant working for a retina specialist, but her passion is to do nails because she does her own nails. And her patients and even like friends, family, whatever, they're like, oh, where do you get your nails done? Oh, I do them myself. And the craziest part about it is she only has 25% vision in her left eye or her right eye. She was born that way. She's never been able to fully see out of her right eye. Yet people are, man, you look like you get your nails done at a high dollar salon. And she's like, that's what I want to do. And I said, if that's your passion, let's do it. What do we got to do? And me getting this benefit now is allowing me to really help her pursue her dream. I said, don't worry about me. I got my job. Let me do the 9 to 5, 40 to 60 hour a week job. I don't mind it. I've been doing that for the last 7 years, 8 years. I'm already, bought into that. Don't worry about me. So a little background with me, though. I don't know if we talked about this when in our first conversation, but I work for a contractor that's under the umbrella of General Dynamics. So the company I work for is called Electric Boat, and we build and maintain submarines for our great Navy.
Amen. Hurrah.
So
yeah, I mean, that's the funny thing is when I think of diversity, I think about all the people I talk to about not just military diversity, obviously, or like ethnic diversity, but the impact that we have is the kind of the mustard seed phenomenon out in other communities, other businesses. Some feed back to military like yours, General Dynamics, mine back to VA. But it's like, how, if we care about our country and our people, not just veterans, but like where we live, what we do, our way of life, how powerful is it to be able to leverage those mustard seeds across every industry in the whole country, the real leaders, that when they finally buy into that, they can lead teams, build, be a part of something bigger, whatever it is like, if we have the ear of those people and we can motivate them externally, and then they take it and run in every industry, whether it's at General Dynamics or, indirectly through, nail salon or whatever, it's the world's a better place, because then there's just an energy of improvement, support, building, not destroying and degrading. It's the opposite. And so, I wouldn't be where I am. That's why I believe there's higher purpose and cause out there for everyone, not just select individuals. I shouldn't be doing this. I should be doing orthopedic surgery and being, the prototypical like orthopedic surgeon, fat and happy, like, everybody, oh, you're an orthopedic surgeon, right? Like, and everybody kind of looks, oh, wow, egocentric, like the classic surgeon mentality, God complex. And when I got out, I took a break for a second, and my whole life changed. And it was scary at first. It's like, when I would tell people, like, I'm not just going to rush back to the rabbit race, the rat wheel. For what? For money, for ego? Like, maybe I will. Maybe that's, that's the logical thing to do. And then it just started. And I was just helping friends to start off because I was bored, literally bored. And the only reason I had the chance to take a pause and do that was because of the VA compensation and benefits. So, I'm speaking from experience and my own testimony there, my own story, because it changed my life. And now it's like, look at all the good that's happened because of that decision to listen to my gut. And it's not for, for pride or for acknowledgement. It's not about that. It's about everybody that I talk to. I encourage y'all to do that. Everyone. It doesn't mean you have to radically change your career or do, wild things, but like, take a pause and listen for a second. Think about it. Pray about it. Feel it. Make the right decisions, even if it's a field of dreams type phenomenon. If you build it, they'll come, as long as it's rooted in good. And, just very passionate about it.
Oh, likewise, most definitely.
Yeah, man. So in closing, do you want to, kind of address everybody? I'm sure a lot of people are going to watch our video on YouTube and on social media platforms. What would you tell everybody kind of in closing, about your, experience with us summarized? Give them a word of hope, whatever you want to do in closing here, and just reach out to the community right here, right now.
It was a tough road. I was fortunate to have found Wooby. Definitely listen to what Doc's got to say, because he took me in, and we went from a below average rating to 100%. It's a tough road. There are times where you're going to lose hope, but stick to your gut, stick to your guns. Take all the information you have. Know that it's a proven formula. Use my situation for an example. Going from 10% to 100% in less than 2 years with a very improbable case. It's proven, it works. And just know that, you're not alone. A lot of us feel like we're alone in this. You're not. Reach out to other veterans that you know, and, don't just use Wooby as your main source of advice. Other veterans have done it their way and had successful results. Take a page out of their playbook, everyone's playbook, and build your own playbook. And then once you get the results you want, say it's 100%. Now it's your time to share that information with others that have lost hope or are losing hope or are just starting on their journey. Give them a sense of hope, because there is a light at the end of the tunnel. I've proven that. I proved that to myself. I proved that to my doubters, which I didn't really care about my doubters. It was just, you know, and just worry about what you have to do. Don't worry about other veterans, how they did theirs, and oh, they got theirs in 6 months or a year, and I've been doing this for 10 years. And because in looking back, uh, I've been battling this since 2013, but only actively battling it within the last year and a half. So there is hope. You just got to stay dedicated and believe that it can happen.
Amen, brother. Touching my heart, like reading the words out of my soul and my mind. Chris, thank you for the time and the interviews. And, without
Most definitely,
question,
Doc.
if you need anything, you let me know. Be happy to do anything I can, or any questions or other people about questions, informally, formally, however you want it, whatever needs to be done. I'm at your service, man. Go forth and prosper. Like we said, just keep doing
Definitely.
it. And, God bless you and your family. And it's been an honor
Likewise.
to help
Thank you.
you.
And if I could extend something to you as well, Doc, if you ever have a member that maybe is going through a similar situation to me, with me, and if you need me to jump in on a three-way video call like this to kind of help them out too, so I can give them my perspective or whatever, I'm more than happy to do that for you.
It's very generous of you, and I'll keep that in mind. And I may take you up on that, because I
Oh yeah,
talked to
most
some
definitely.
for sure.
Yeah, just definitely just let me know. And if we can schedule something maybe like on a weekend again like this. Um, yeah, I'd be more than happy to. No question.
Outstanding. Outstanding, man. I love it. I love it. Seriously, God bless you, man.
All right, likewise, Doc. Thank you.
Stay in touch. Seriously.
All right, we'll do.
We'll work together. Sounds great.
Yeah, definitely, we'll do. Thank you.
All right, Chris. Take it easy, brother.
All right, you
Bye.
too. Bye.